Hello my students, today we'll be setting up the photo booth. Some things you'll need for the photo booth. The box that contains the actual photo booth, another box with the printer, ink and paper. You'll need additionally a laptop and a router, and if they need a backdrop, then you'll need a pipe and drape and backdrop for it. If you're looking for the ink and paper, typically it'll come in a box like this. And once you open it up, you'll find the following. You'll find paper, usually in rolls like this, and ink. And the ink is like this. In later steps, we'll see how it looks and how we put it in. Let's get to the actual assembly of the photo booth. First, we'll take that box where the photo booth is at and we'll open it up. It has about 5 latches. Once you open it up, you'll see that there is a base plate at the very top, and I'll show you real quickly what it looks like. Here is what the base plate looks like. There are 2 horizontal lines that we'll need to use in a bit to align to basically begin building the photo booth. Next, once you open that, there's 2 other containers with some pieces. You'll find these 2 pieces next. The one you'll need is this one first. This one contains, I don't know if you can see from there, it contains these screws that are part of it that you will have to line up these individuals pieces to where we just had originally over here. So we line up the pieces, make sure it's in, and once it's in, you can start screwing it in and tighten it from the back. Next thing we want to do is grab this other piece and put it. So this is the piece, the bottom. We'll put this into here, and remember, if where the hole is at, that'll go towards the back. That's where we'll route the cables through to make sure that it's nice cable management from the front. So we'll put this in like so. On the second layer of the box, you'll find the following. There's going to be 4 screw-like objects, and then 2 of these. These will be a bridge to essentially hold the printer up. You'll see in a second. Before you screw the second piece in with these screws, you'll want to open one more layer of the box. So there's another foam piece here. You take this out, and now you'll have these pieces. This will go towards the back as such. So let me show you from this angle. So the photo booth looks like this as follows. Now this is the back side that's going towards the front. We'll put these, as you can see, they have a little sleeve there. We'll do this one to follow on the left side. So we grab one of these, we grab one of these, put it in the hole, put it in this hole, and now we just screw it in. Make sure it's nice and tight, because this will also help prevent the top piece from falling off. And now you should have something that looks like this. This is the front, and then this will be the back. All right. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So let's grab this piece, another screw. We put in through here, align the holes, we tighten it. All right, great. And now we have ourselves this. This is what the photo booth will look like at this point. And remember, this is the back side, this will be the front side. So let me show you the back side. Grab these 2 other pieces that we talked about, and we're gonna insert them here. This is essentially gonna help us stabilize the photo booth a little more and be able to allow us to give us a platform to put on the photo booth, to put on the printer on top. So we'll keep at this direction for now. Now, once you're at that step, we can go to the top of it, the top of the photo booth. The last object inside of the case, as you can see back here, is the actual camera and photo booth. So we pull this out. Now we have this here. Same thing like the second piece, we have a cable coming out of here. This is what we're looking at. This is going to be the front where the camera lives. So if you remember how we set this up, right now where the holes are at is the back side. So we turn this around. First what we want to do is we're gonna feed the cable. So feed the cable all the way down to the bottom. Feed it to the bottom. We want to line this up, and now the photo booth is put it nicely at the top. Now, this part, we'll turn it around so you can see. There should be 2 holes here, one here and one on the other side. And that is going to be for the final 2 screws. So we need to make sure we screw these in together so that the photo booth doesn't go anywhere. So we're putting this in here. Let's make sure we're tightening this up. You can do 1 at a time, 2 at a time, whatever you feel is easiest for you. So next, if you remember this case that we talked about, remember it's gonna be either a soft case or a hard case. For this one's a soft case, so the printer will print it out, we'll bring it out just so you can see what it looks like. Now essentially a printer is gonna look like this. A very cube. So what we do first is we put the printer here. This printer is gonna live on top of this backside. Remember, this is the backside of the printer. That way whenever guests are taking photos, they can print them out and not be in the way of other guests. Here, now remember that you're gonna need an extension cord, so make sure you have extension cords at the bottom of your booth because that's where we're gonna route all the power through. But just to show you the photo booth, this is essentially what it looks like. It always come up with one of these foams. I don't know what the fuck we leave these in here for, but Albert loves leaving them there, so just to make the boss happy, make sure it's in there at the end of the night.
Have a little foam pad, okay? And this foam pad says required for transportation, and they mean it.
All right, see the inside of the photo booth. Let's get some other accessories that we're gonna need. If you go back to the case that had the printer, it should have everything in there. You should have a router, power cables, and a laptop. Now, the first thing we're going to want to do is bring this laptop out. This is what's going to help us connect between the printer and the actual router and the photo booth. Grab yourself a power cable, whatever you need. Again, make sure you have these before you leave the warehouse. Let's start plugging things in real quick before we get started because you'll need to hear some certain noises. So that's plugged in. Next, what we want to do is we want to find a cable for the printer, power cable for the printer, which will look like the following. This will be the power cable for the printer. There it is. So this is going to be the power cable for the printer that you'll need to attach in the back. So we connect this printer here in the back, and you'll find the opening. It'll be on the right side of the printer itself, and there's also a power cable there, and I'll show that to you in a bit. Now, we go back here, you'll see the lights are off. Once you turn it on, you'll see these lights power on, and you'll hear a beep, which is good. Configuring the printer itself before we go to anything else. Again, we open this up, you'll find the following, a piece of foam, and you'll find these 2 discs where your paper will go into. So let's do the following now. Let's start setting this up. So remember that box that we were talking about that had the supplies? Let's bring one of these out. Paper. Here's the paper, again, that we talked about. So if it's a brand new sheet, it'll have a little pull tab. Just make sure you pull that off. All right. Now, with these black discs that we just had, on each of the holes they go in. So just insert one, insert the other. Now, it'll have these white, I guess, hook type of wheels. You'll see the way they were set up. So just align them back into the middle and then place it in there. Great. Now, within the photo booth itself, there's an insert paper here. So there's this piece right here. As you can tell, paper insert here. All right, so we grab this paper that we just got. It's a little tricky, so just make sure when you're feeding it through, you're gonna see it, you feed the paper in through the top. So we feed it in through here, we feed it down, and now we see this. There's a little opening here, we wanna feed it into that, and you'll hear like a click. There you go. Once that means that it accepted the paper, and now the paper should be set. And now we're gonna set up the ink. So we go back to the supply box. If it's brand new, it'll be in a bubble wrap, which is great. Make sure to keep this neat. This ink is very, very delicate. And by delicate, I mean, you'll see what I mean in a second. So once you open it up, what you'll find inside is this roll of kind of ink paper. And this is what it looks like. So the yellow side is gonna be for the side of ink that's been used already. And then the other white side, which is the fatter side, is gonna be the side that has all the brand new ink. So first what we do is we align the yellow with yellow. There's a yellow tab here at the printer. We put that in. So let's connect that first. Now that's in. Now we do the ink here. So we connect the ink in the bottom, and you'll see how it fit the ones with the teeth first. So get those in, and then you can squeeze it for the other side that has no teeth. So something like that. Now, the end setup of the printer will look like this. We close this printer up, and now it's gonna begin to test itself. So if you set up correctly the printer, the following should start happening. It should start configuring itself, and you should get some blanks being printed out. And as you can see, now we have a fully functional printer that's working. So next we're gonna go into the actual setup phase for the laptop and everything else. One last thing that I forgot. Remember how you saw those things fall? There's a piece like this, and this is essentially for the catching all the things that get printed. So you have a nice little slot here to catch things. So remember to put that in if you don't want to be frustrated with all the falling stuff. All right, cool. So now we have this set up. Next thing we're gonna do is set up a router. Well, actually before that, let me show you another cable that we'll need. We'll need one of these cables. There you go. So this is gonna connect to the printer, and then this will connect to the laptop that we're gonna use for the photo booth. So let's do that. Again, if you look back here, you'll see that there's a port above the power. And let's connect that to our laptop. We'll figure out why we need that in a second. Next thing we want to do is connect some power to the laptop. So again, just for this example, it's going to be an HP charger. This is going to be a little different depending on what photo booth you have and what laptop you're using. But, you know, we all know laptops. So just connect the cable to the laptop, the power cable, and then connect the other one inside of there. Give it some power. And finally, we're going to need a router. Now here's a router. Here's a router for this photo booth. A router and a power cable. So if we look towards the back, let's find a place where this cable goes. In this case, we'll show you. Here's a power place right here. So we connect this in here. Connect this to the power source. And now this should be on. And you'll know it's on when these lights are blinking. You see the power there? Sometimes routers can have a power button so you can turn it off and on. In this case, I just turned it off and I turn it back on now. So now we see there's a power on there, and you'll see shortly why we need that. So let's open up the laptop. If it's not on, just power it on. All right, so once the laptop is on, we're gonna log in. It's 0802. Really depends on whatever the password is. So now that we're here, you'll see that this laptop has something open. Let me pull this back to you guys. So it's called Photo Booth Print Server. Essentially, that is a software that you'll need to have open. If you don't see it open, then when you go on a laptop, just search up the software and then open it up for yourselves. Typically, just leave everything as configured. You don't really need to mess with that. The one thing we do need to check is this. So this internet, we need to connect it to the Netgear. You may need information of the router. It should be on the back of the router. Here's the example for this one. Don't need to worry about that. But when you connect the laptop to this router, you're using the credentials that you'll see in the back of the router. So here we got a Netgear 42. We connect to it. Give it a second. Once it prompts you for the password, you enter the password. Now you're connected, like any other router. All right, so once we have connected successfully to that router, you should see something like this. Should be connected to the Netgear. There's no internet, of course, and you should be all right. So now we have the laptop connected. Great. So that has connection. Now we're at the front of the photo booth. So first of all, let's just open it up. There's gonna be a password in it. Usually it's 000, or in this case, let's see if it's 000. Cool. So now we're in. Now what you're gonna want to do is look for an app called SnapPic. It's usually gonna be a black one, an app like this with a white ring around it. So let's open it up, and you'll see something like this, SnapPic. That is okay. So beforehand, you need to connect this iPad to the internet so that I can pull down the latest events. So in this case, let's see. Right now we're connected to the Netgear over here, which is great for after we finish installing everything. But first, connect to some public internet. And if you don't have internet at the event or venue that you're at, just go into your hotspot. All right, so once we're connected to the internet, we click refresh. If you are connected to the internet, you should see. All right, well, let's just go with the future event for right now. Let's go here. So this is an example of what it's gonna look like. Now, if you remember, we've connected everything. So the first thing you wanna do when you're at this panel, before you connect the actual camera and the photo booth, is you usually wanna start the photo booth. So when you start the photo booth, this will load all the resources you need. If you do it before, if you try to connect everything and then start the photo booth without being on the Wi-Fi, there's gonna be some problems. So now that we have the event loaded, let's exit. Password always 000, and now we can begin to connect certain things. So before we connect the printer, let's connect back to the Netgear, which remember our laptop is connected to, which is connected to the printer. So let's find Netgear here, Netgear 42. We should be connected in a second. Now that we're connected, we'll go here. You'll find something that says configure printer. So we click this button, and then in here, wait for it to load, and you should see, so we'll see a photo booth printer server, and you see that it's on the network. So let's just click that one. Now, next we'll connect the actual camera. So now let's connect the camera. So we go here, where is configure camera? In the camera, you'll see, as it's refreshing, you'll see an EOS M50 Mark II. We click it. Here, you'll see that it's kind of an EOS M50 Mark II. Let's start the photo booth. Now we see that it's connected to this camera up here and not the iPad, which is great. So let's start the photo booth. Now, let's do still. So let's go back here. This is what you'll see when you're operating the photo booth. We'll click it. We gotta have the option for a gallery or still. Let's go to still. And essentially, this is what the photo booth look like. So you click, it'll be 3 photos. 1, 2, 3. Capture one there. Second photo here. And then the final third photo here. Now, once that happens, you'll see a strip with the events. It should have the name of the bride and groom, or if it's another event, it'll have it appropriately. So we have 2 options. You can either airdrop, so if any iPhone users, but if you don't, if you're doing an actual photo booth, we'll just typically just print it. So let's print a copy of it. Let's click print. And now in the back, if after configuration everything's correct, this is connected to the Netgear, laptop's connected to the printer, and then the laptop's also connected to the Netgear, you'll hear these noises as you can hear them following. The printer's working, and now we have ourselves a printed version of that. And that covers the tutorial for the photo booth. Once at the end of the night, the event is over, typically what we'll do is we'll exit. So let's go back to the beginning. You'll go over here to the queue management. For this section, make sure you go back to an actual internet connected network. We'll go here, we'll go to tap to manage queue, and what we'll do is we're gonna want to upload all these to the cloud. And you can do it here by restarting fails, starting the actual upload queue. And after that's done, event's over, you can tear this all back down, place everything the opposite direction of what we showed you, how we brought everything back, how we build everything, and then the event's over. Congratulations, you've learned how to do the photo booth. Oh, one last thing that I forgot to mention is in the back. So when we open the back will have a camera. The camera is going to be locked into place securely with a knob at the bottom of it. Once you unfasten it, you're able to pull the camera out. Depending on the camera, we're using this Canon M50. There's an on and off button. Remember to turn this off at the end of the night and then turn it on before you start using the photo booth. If this isn't on, you won't be able to configure and connect the camera to the actual photo booth because it won't be on and won't be able to register. So remember to turn this on and off. We've made it to the end of our tutorial. Showed you how to build the photo booth, how to set up the printer, each individual component of the printer, the laptop, and the router. Now, this is at the end. We're going to start breaking down. So the way I like to kind of begin these things, I like to start with the laptop and the printer stuff first because that'll be kind of a little bit important. It's already there out there. The photo booth is easy to break down. Once you've turned off the camera and the cameras are inside, then let's just begin. So first, laptop here. You can leave the software open. It's perfectly fine. So just close the laptop. Let's take off the power cord here for the laptop. Let's disconnect the power cord. So now we have the power cord here. For these things, try to wrap them and keep things orderly. It'll help anyone, either you in the future or anyone else who may be using this photo booth. So I'll just continue here, breaking this down like this. So just keep it wrapped. So that is this. Next thing we'll do is disconnect the cable from the laptop to the printer. So again, I've showed you what this cable looks like. So let's just make sure it's nice and wrapped. Let's keep everything organized. We can also take this off as well. We no longer need this. So, and then for the router itself as well, we can begin to power this off. So maybe turn off the power, disconnect the power. Let's wrap the power cable for the router, and then for the Netgear box itself as well. Also, you know, these antennas we can just fold to keep it nice and neat, prevent anything from breaking, and then we can just begin to put things back in. So for this photo booth box itself, there was a different compartment in here, but we had everything, so we can just neatly put, let's say, the router can go in here. Power cables can go in here. Let's see, where is the laptop? Laptop can also go in here. Then we're gonna put in the laptop power cable in here. Just like that. The printer to laptop cable can go in here as well. And if you have a hard case, you won't have space like this, but you'll have additional boxes for all these accessory items. So wherever you're organizing, just make sure you put it in the same place you found them. Same thing with this. This can go back into this box, which is where we found it. All right, now let's break down the printer. The printer is gonna have this black piece here can come off. And if you look inside, it'll be all the cutouts for the photo booth prints. If you look inside, it'll be all the cutouts of the photo booth prints. You can throw this away, just, you know, cleanliness wise at the end of your night. Now, what we're going to do here is first we open up the photo booth, and if you remember the ink and the paper, so let's break this down. First, we're going to want to bring back that bubble wrap that we had earlier. So if you remember this is going to be the bubble wrap that we're going to use to essentially pack the ink up again. Be careful, a lot of these edges are sticky, so just make sure that this paper is very thin. Make sure not to get onto anything sticky. So first, let's disconnect the yellow piece. Just push it up and then pull it out, And then let's slowly just wrap it, make sure it's nice and tight. And same thing with the bottom piece. We're gonna push out the bottom piece first. So we push this out, we pull this out first, pull it out from this side, and then you can just pull it out from the other side. And now once you pull it out, here it is. So again, just be careful when you put it into whatever container. Typically it's gonna be in these. Put it back like this. Make sure that the bubble wrap is wrapped over it nicely. Wrap it over. And now we have our ink back to its place. Great. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take off the paper. So we roll back the paper a bit. Roll back the paper. And then when you roll it back, when it pulls it out, you'll hear a beep as well. Pull this out. And remember, these wheels come off. So we take off one wheel, we put this wheel back, and then we take off the other wheel. Here you go. And we put the other wheel back. So now the photo booth is empty and it looks like that. Sorry, the photo booth printer looks empty. If you saw the plastic bag for it, cool, let's put it in here. But before actually, no, that's fine. Let's put it in here. And then we can just stuff this in. There was a black button case that we could just use it to plug in the top. Let me show you with the box, and then just put it in the box. You'll see exactly where it goes. We'll take everything here. Remember to put this pink piece back in. So we'll just place that in here, as so. Pink piece is gonna be faced upwards. So now we can close this, and the power button's in the back of this. So just turn off the power, lights are off. Now we can disconnect the power cable from the printer. Let's do that. And again, with this cable, we also want to just make sure we're keeping everything nice and neatly done. So now the printer has been, all the material for the printer has been taken out, has been powered off, cable's here, and now we can put it back in our box for safe traveling. So let's do that. So we pull the photo booth printer here, put it back in the box. Everything should be neatly organized. And then we are good to go. So put this back in here. Let's put this cable back in here. Let's zip everything up for ease, for well adjustments. And now we're good. So now we have the photo booth printer has been set back. Next thing we want to do is start breaking this down. Now, if you remember, let's go back up here. First thing we're going to do is before that, let's open up this box. So let's open up the photo booth box. Up in here. Let's take out all the pieces that we have, because as we break this down, it's going to go from the top to the bottom, top going first, bottom being last, which is the base plate. Make sure that the photo booth is unplugged. Remember how we threaded the cable initially? Because we have these two screws, remember, that we used. So unscrew them. Screw this, turn off the power. Now carefully, so let's just lift it up a little bit. When you lift it up, just pull the cable out first, you know. So let's pull the cable out. Now here, what we can do, similar to the other cables, let's just make sure that we can wrap and keep everything nice and tucked. So make sure that these cables are just always wrapped, and you know, better for traveling and just much cleaner overall. So once we have this cable can go like in the middle as such, and this will be the first piece that we put back in that box. Now when you look in the box, you'll see, let me move this down. You'll see that there's a slot open for the bottom of this. So just make sure that you're aligning this properly. Let's put it back here. Great. Now, the next thing we're gonna do, these two screws, let's put them to the side. Now we have this photo booth printer station. Let's just take off these bridges, these two metal pieces, take these off. Now the next thing is we'll take one arm off at once. So first take off an arm, a screw back here. Now we have an arm off. So before we do anything else, slowly we're gonna do this. We're gonna put this arm back here. Let me move this so you can see exactly. You see it here? So this arm's gonna go as such. on one side of the wall, on the one side. We're gonna unscrew the other arm here, unscrew that, and now we have another arm. So if you see this here, there's like 2 divots where it kind of holds on. This is where we place it on the top. So I don't know if you can see from this angle, but now both of those arms are set up. This is what the photo booth box will look like with the photo booth and then the 2 arms placed into the box. All right, great. Now that we're at this point, let's take this foam piece, and it's gonna go right on top. Squeeze it in. After putting those arms together, you should be able to everything should align perfectly. And now what we'll do is we'll grab this piece here. You should just take it off. We're gonna put one of them in here on the top. And now if you remember this has some screws at the bottom, so just unscrew them real quick. So we have it unscrewed. Now, before you put this piece back in, grab those 4 screws. They go into here for travel. And same thing with the bridges, put them in here. After we do that, we put this back in here as such. There's some, actually no, now that we have these pieces in, we're gonna grab this last piece, this foam piece, goes to the very top. Now we grab the base plate, put that at the top, inside as such. If you have a little foam piece like this, just put it at the very top as such, here. Then we just close it. Once we're closed, everything should tighten up nicely and you have a packed photo booth. So, there you go. Today you have learned how to assemble a photo booth. Congratulations. You're photo booth certified now.